Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of Family by Design. This is a great conversation Liz and I have about triggers, about how they expose old wounds, and this is going to really set some of you guys free. I'm just really excited that you get to hear this. It's going to bless you immensely. So be encouraged, strengthened, and grow as you listen. Okay, so we're going to talk about emotional triggers in this episode and really being able to recognize them. So tell us what an emotional trigger is.
So, I was just thinking about this, and it's really a place of wounding that hasn't been healed. And it's like if you have a wound or even a scar, it seems like it's healed, but if it gets touched, there's sensitivity there, and it can cause pain, which causes then you to have like a reaction. And the person that didn't even know that there was, a wound or a trigger, like they're like the object of you wanting to.
They feel like they're the ones that are guilty, but it's actually them just being there and
Right.
saying one word or one little thing, and the next thing you know that the other person, reacts in a really bad way, and they get, triggered. Or you could say a button gets pushed is another way I've heard.
Oh,
it
yeah. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
That there was a button that, somebody pushed that you didn't even know was pushable. You didn't even know the button existed, and an explosion happens.
Yeah.
Or it's not always an explosion. However, often that is something, but it also can be, and this one's a little bit more subtle, is withdrawal.
Point is that there was a trigger point to where it caused a chain reaction to something, because that trigger point, it shouldn't be there. The button shouldn't be there.
Right.
It should be that you can talk about the situation. Those kind of things could be brought up, and there's not the sensitivity to it that
There's not pain attached to it.
Right.
That's actually when you've been healed of a past trauma or any kind of trauma, is whenever anybody can touch it and talk about it, and you can touch it and talk about it. It doesn't cause you any.
That's right.
It's not that it's just pain, because sometimes pain can be, more big, but there's not even like a little grimace of like, ugh,
Right.
like, I don't want to. I'm fine from that, but I don't even want to talk about
And if
it.
somebody has been traumatized, they've been abused, they've been whatever, like we're not saying that you shouldn't feel pain.
Right.
But we are saying that you can be healed.
Yes.
And it could be hard if you're in the middle of dealing with some kind of pain from things that were done to you. It might be hard to understand this, but you have to know that you can come to a place of healing, even to the point to where you could talk about it.
Right. And it becomes
you can
a
open up and share. It becomes a testimony.
for other people to see that there is victory.
Right.
In these places of like deeps. A lot of time, I mean, sometimes even trauma isn't deep. Well, it is always deep, but sometimes it's not like a terrible thing.
It's not overly traumatic.
Right.
But it did cut deep, I guess.
It created a wound in you.
Right.
And so we need to be, I don't like to say familiar with our wounds, but it's good to realize that we get wounding in life.
So, yes. And so sometimes the point of this is to recognize those emotional triggers.
Yeah.
And so people, sometimes they don't even know they have them until they don't know they have that wound until it gets
triggered
touched
or
whatever. An example of this, when I was in Bible college, I was in my second year, and we had it's called an AIG, something interactive group. I forget what it's called now, but at any rate, we had a leader lady in charge of the group, and we were doing public speaking. And there was only a dozen of us in the group or whatever, but we had to pull out of a subject out of a hat and then get up and talk about it. Well, I got marriage and I'd talk about marriage. So I'm like, okay, well, let's go to the marriage verses. And, you know, Ephesians 5, you know, wives, submit yourselves unto your husbands. And of course, then it goes on to talk about husbands loving your wives, which is a much more severe, as Christ loved the church, which is much more severe than wives submit. It's really tough to love people like Jesus loved them. So it's a high call. But anyways, I was trying to be funny, which I'm known for not being funny. And in this case, I hit a trigger and I got up and I was totally fine. Everybody in that group knew that I just got the topic and I had like 2 minutes to prepare. So I get up and I said, here's one thing I know is that wives need to submit themselves to their husbands. And it was funny. And then I actually went on to talk about how that it's actually supposed to be, we submit to one another and we love one another. Like I actually totally walked myself out of that. You know, it wasn't a problem. Well, when I got to the end of it, everybody got a chance to critique. She unleashed on me.
A particular woman,
this one woman. She's like, you don't know what it's like to be abused. I've lived in an abusive marriage. This was the leader of it. She's like, I lived in an abusive relationship for 20 years. And it went on. And I was like, and I mean, I didn't say anything. I'm like,
at that point, you're like, I didn't even know I was going to hit a button. And it wasn't your intention.
And it really, it shouldn't. That's not the kind of thing that should have thrown her like that. But here's our point is that it was a trigger for her. Mm-hmm. She was not able to hear anything, probably really anything about marriage, to be honest with you.
Right.
She just took the most severe thing, I guess, that I said. And it was in a very lighthearted manner. I was not being rude or insensitive at all.
Right. But
she took it as all of that and lashed out at me. Well, I wasn't the problem. She was the problem. Her marriage was the problem.
Mm-hmm. Those wounds
and anything surrounding that even comes close, it's a trigger, it's a wound, it got touched, she lashed out.
And it was still inflamed for it to be like that, you know, particular just whatever. And so like this is so important because most of the time, like you said, people aren't walking around trying to hit buttons, trying to provoke anger or fear and people. You're just living life and you say things sometimes that maybe like to you didn't mean to say anything, but because those people have, you know, trauma, unhealed trauma, that they are triggers for them. But we're not supposed to walk around. First off, we're not supposed to walk around wounded.
That's right.
Secondly,
which is another way to say offended.
Yes.
The enemies actually come and said, okay, we won't call it offended because everybody knows that that's bad. You're wounded.
Right.
As if it's okay. It's not okay to stay wounded.
No, it isn't. Especially when
our supposed best friend is a healer.
Right. And a comforter. And he, like, it says that he.
And I just want to say again, like, that's not to say anything against someone who's going through something.
Sure.
Like, everybody's been through stuff. There's nothing wrong with you for having been wounded.
Right.
There's just something wrong if you stay wounded.
Right.
Because you have a choice in the matter. You can work through it. Might take you longer than somebody else, but you have to work through it.
Right. Because visiting places of pain are very difficult.
It is.
And challenging and, again, painful. And when we've had pain, we don't want to go revisit the pain, but it's revisiting the pain with the healer.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's right. And the triggers can actually work to our benefit.
That's right.
And I think that's really the thing we draw from this. And so, like, I have tons and have had to work through tons of pain around my high school years. I hated high school so bad, and I could go through about 10 different reasons why I hated high school. And it was, for a season, it was tough for me to even think about it. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to bring up anybody from our high school days. And to be honest with you, I don't really have a desire to go. I still, like, I'll be, I'll be honest. Like, it would feel like I would be reopening a wound for me to go back into high school, like to our class reunions and stuff. I'm not really interested in it. I had no friends.
Me.
I had one stalker, you, but I had no friends. I got made fun of a lot. I got made fun of for being a Christian, and which that doesn't bother me so bad. But a lot of it doesn't bother me at all. It's actually an honor to be made fun of for following Christ. But there's so many other things involved in it. It felt like just tons of rejection and just a lot of shame and I don't really want to go there, and I don't have to. But I can drive by it and drive through the parking lot and not wince in pain anymore. Like it's not, and we can talk about things in high school or whatever. Like it's not like it was. But that was a trigger for me. Anything revolving around my high school days was a trigger for me. And so it helped me realize that there was pain associated with that in that time period in different scenarios that I had to get healed up from. Things that people said, things that people believed about me, and then some of my own speculation, things that I believed that people thought and said about me that weren't even true. So anything surrounding that was a trigger for me. Well, so then that began to teach me like you can't live like that.
Right, because actually then that moment or that time period was controlling you.
It can still even control you to this day.
Yes.
Which a lot of people live in that, in what happened in the past. If they're still being triggered and it sends them off a cliff, then their past is actually controlling their present.
That's right.
And the trigger can help us identify that.
And then you're not able to get to your future.
Yep.
You can't, honestly. Until you heal from the past, you will never be present in the now, and you won't get to your future.
If you can't drive past the hospital where you lost your spouse, then that's a trigger. You're still healing from there. If, the friend or family member that died in a car accident, if you can't drive down that road or past that place anymore, then, and I mean, obviously like the week of, like, it's probably not going to be the time to drive by there, but I'm saying like 5 years later, if you still can't drive by there, then that's a trigger. And there needs to be healing there. We're not supposed to live bound by pains in the past.
Right.
Like that's a reality that people haven't maybe grasped or even heard of before. But we're not meant to live bound by those things. Sometimes when it comes to death, people feel like they're honoring the person by hanging on to the pain of losing the person. But actually what honors the person who's gone on, especially if they're with the Lord, the way to honor them is actually to move forward.
Right.
And become healed up from it. You don't lose the memory of who they are.
And live life.
But just live life. Yeah, absolutely. That part, especially if they're with the Lord, they would want you to live life to the fullest, knowing that you've only got so much time here and then you step into eternity.
Right.
So, so there's all these things that we can come in contact with and be around, but it can be some of the smallest things that somebody could talk about. Maybe you had an embarrassment being on the platform, giving a testimony at some point and didn't go well. And then 20 years later, someone says, would you like to give a testimony? And no, I can't do that. No, I don't. Why are you asking me to do that? These are things we've actually dealt with at times. And it's like, we weren't being mean for asking them if they want to give their testimony. They had a terrible experience and they hadn't been healed up from it yet.
Right.
There's just all kinds of ways in which people get triggered. And those triggers should be able to help us see, I got an area here where I need the Lord to come in and help me.
Yeah. And so, I would say in relation to marriage and family, because your family is the closest to you and your spouse is also one that's super close to you, then there's going to be probably the likelihood of them finding a button or a trigger or a wound is highly probable. And so instead of getting mad at them, lashing out at them, withdrawing from them, just realize that they exposed something in you and
that needed to be exposed.
Because healing can't come if there isn't light to it.
That's right.
And light can't come without exposure.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean just because something's exposed that you're not protected.
Yeah. Turning on, or let me say it this way, hitting a trigger, hitting a button is almost like turning on the X-ray machine to where it's like, oh, I can see something that's going on a little bit deeper here. That's a good thing.
Right.
They can't reset the broken bone if they don't know that it's broken.
And honestly, if they don't reset it right, then it didn't heal right.
Right.
And there's pain still associated because what you thought was healed wasn't actually healed correctly. And you would never know that unless you got an X-ray. So it could show, oh, that bone isn't healed right.
Right.
And that's why you have some pain here.
And the light is what actually exposes.
Yes.
Exposes the negative.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And so I think that this is powerful, and it's just like a good conversation and good insight, especially, navigating things in your home and with your family of like, sometimes you think that people are causing pain to you on purpose because they're hitting triggers, when in all reality, it's just that maybe you haven't been able to identify that you aren't healed.
Right.
And that the old pain is causing new pain, and it's causing a disconnect, and it's causing brokenness in your relationships. And honestly, like, past things shouldn't get to dictate how you do life and have relationships now. That makes that past trauma and failure have too much priority and too much power in your life right now.
I agree.
And then it makes you powerless to feel like that and it puts you into survival mode, which causes all this other stuff. And it causes you not to live life to the fullest of what it's supposed to be. And not only to live the life to the full, it's supposed to be live the life with the people that you're supposed to live life with to the fullest.
Right. So I'm just going to share this quick testimony, and then we'll end.
Yeah.
We pastor, and I speak. I mean, probably every other couple days on average, we have some kind of speaking engagement, whether it's in a smaller setting or on a Sunday morning in a larger setting, or we travel and minister. We're getting ready to do that and going and being in front of lots of faces that we didn't even know we would ever meet, all that. And I had the first 2 times that I ever spoke in front of anybody publicly was terrible. It was a very traumatic situation for me. And so much so that I wouldn't even take speech in high school. Like, I kind of wanted to, because my dad was in speech in high school when he was in high school and was super good at it. And so I thought I would like to do that, but I wouldn't join the class because I was too afraid because of my trauma. And so I had to get healed up of that. And just imagine, because we are ministering to a lot of people. There's a lot of people that are getting blessed by what the Lord has done in us and now through us. If I had allowed that to stay there, there's many of you that are listening to this that I think this will bring this home a little bit more. Just imagine if I had stayed there. I mean, legit stayed there. And I'm not saying I haven't had to work through some things. I've had to work through a lot of stuff. I mean, I have.
Yeah.
Even up until this past year, I had to work through a lot of stuff with being in front of people. I actually don't like it. It's one of my least favorite things to do. I love the anointing and I love the fruit of the anointing and ministry, but being in front of people, I could never be in front of a camera or in front of a group of people and talk again, and I'll be just peachy keen. I do not need that at all. But imagine if I had stayed triggered, if I had allowed that to continue in my life. We wouldn't be making this podcast. We wouldn't have a church. We wouldn't be traveling to minister. We wouldn't have seen the people saved, filled with the Holy Spirit, healed, transformed, all that stuff. Right. If I had stayed that. So what are people missing out or going to miss out in your life because you've allowed a trigger to keep you? You've allowed that wound. The trigger is really just the exposure of the wound. You've allowed that wound to keep you bound from doing what you're supposed to do.
So good.
Yep. Thanks for tuning in to Family by Design. We're so thankful you took this time to listen and participate with Liz and I as we discuss these very important things concerning marriage and family. If you're blessed by this ministry, in particular this podcast, we'd love it if you would leave a review. It'll absolutely help boost our ratings and help other people to be able to find this podcast to bless them as well. We want to give a special thanks to our partners. Those of you that partner with Ward Ministries, you make this possible. If you'd like more information about partnership, you'd like to become a partner with us, you can go to wardmen.org and find all the information there, as well as other resources. So we bless you in the name of the Lord. Thanks for tuning in.